The first question that came in was, after the winter, my lawn looks terrible. What should I do? Well, you are not alone. As I've driven around and looked at various properties, for whatever reason this winter was harder than normal on lawns. My guess is that it has to do with lawns being stressed out from last season, which was a drought season. So if we remember back to 2021, here in northern Illinois, it was very, very dry at the start of the year. So May was exceptionally dry for us, which is never a good thing for plant material, but especially lawns and things that have a very shallow oriented root system, such as your lawn grass. So a very dry May meant the plants didn't root in well, didn't grow as aggressively as they might, were already weakened. And then you just have the normal stressors of heat and summer and all that kind of stuff. Combine that with some insect activity that we were seeing abnormally high last year, and that led to a lot of lawn problems. So what can you do now? The first thing that I would recommend is overseeding. So overseeding is just the process of spreading new seed throughout your lawn. It could just be in patches if you have an area that is particularly damaged, or if it's just the whole lawn looking kind of thin or shabby, you can overseed the entire lawn. In order to get ready for overseeding, you can do one of a couple of things. If you have areas that have dead grass, so it's just kind of a matted down, straw colored, obviously dead. If you grab it, it's just kind of almost rotten, you know, in its like feel and texture. First thing to do would be to take a leaf rake and rake that stuff off the surface. Grass seed needs to come in contact with bare dirt. If it's on top of dead grass or live grass or anything else, it's not going to germinate. So it needs to be in contact with the soil. So first thing is to rake that off. If, as I do at home, if you have some areas where it's just, you know, there's no dead grass, it's just plain old mud. It's just the lawn kind of died out in some spots and you just have these muddy spots or patches throughout the yard. Then what you need to do is just prepare that soil to receive the seed. And what I mean by that is, over the winter with the snow and the rain and everything else, maybe people walking on it, etc., that soil, or what is probably just more like mud right now, it just gets really compacted and packed down. And when you put that seed on the surface, the soil isn't really ready to receive that. So there's a few things you can do. You know me, I like props. So this is a tool called a Garden Weasel. This is an excellent tool for getting, there's a lot of things you can do with this, but it's particularly good for preparing soil to receive seed. So you just take this tool and you run it back and forth, and it's almost like a little rototiller, little manual rototiller. So it's gonna kind of chew up and sort of scrape the surface. It does a very good job. It's kind of cool, you can actually pull out some of the tines. So for instance, like in your vegetable garden later on, you can pull out the middle tine if you want. And when you have young seedlings growing, you can do that, and the seed will be fine, or the seedling will be fine, and it's just going to kind of till up or weed or chew up the ground on either side of your plants. So that's called the Garden Weasel. Great little tool for what we're talking about. Much less expensive than a rototiller. And then in terms of seeding, you've probably heard me talk about this before. Black Beauty Ultra is our premium line of grass seed, or the line that we like to recommend. I have a lot of experience with this. We've got some of it planted here at the garden center. I've used this at home. The big difference between Black Beauty and a lot of the grass seed on the market is they have, in this mix, are some proprietary varieties of tall fescue. So tall fescue normally is not a very desirable grass. Tall fescue has a thicker blade. It tends to be a little taller, as the name suggests, and it's a little more coarse, and it's a little lighter green. So it's not what most people think of as a desirable lawn grass. Most people think of that dark green, soft, thin-bladed bluegrass type look. The downside is that bluegrass is not drought tolerant, not disease resistant, prone to insect damage, drought damage, all that kind of stuff. So the varieties of tall fescue that are in this blend were chosen. They're thinner bladed. They have a much darker green color, almost a real dark blue-green color. So it gives it a nice color. The texture is such that it's a lot thinner and finer than the old varieties of tall fescue, and excuse me. So it's going to give you a really high quality lawn. It's great if you have dogs, kids, heavy mowers, things like that that are that are going through that. It is for sure a little bit more coarse than bluegrass. So if you're putting 100% bluegrass blend down, it is going to be a little different look. I can get past that really easily. I think that this looks great. It's certainly fine for what I'm doing at home. But if you're going for that like absolutely perfect lawn look, you may want to go with bluegrass, but that's, like I said, going to need a lot more care, fertilization, dethatching, spraying for fungus and all that kind of stuff. So Black Beauty Ultra is where I would go. They also make a really good dense shade mix. It's called Jonathan Green Dense Shade Mix. I always joke with people, if you have a shady area, if you can't get that to grow, nothing's going to grow. Like if that doesn't work, just stop trying, because it is the most shade tolerant grass seed that I have come across. We've used it at home. We've got some pretty good shady spots. It's done quite well. In the very back corner underneath some big old trees, there's a few areas that even that won't grow, and we've just kind of mulched those in. But otherwise, try that for your shady areas. The other thing I would recommend in terms of lawn is fertility. So if your lawn was stressed out last year, one of the best things you can do to get a jump on this year is to pick out a nice fertilization program. The downside to lawn is that lawn grasses are heavy feeders. They need a lot of nitrogen, especially, in order to push all that green growth all throughout the year and really look healthy. It's one of the reasons why a lot of environmentalists and conservationists and whatnot recommend removing lawn and putting in other plant material, native plant material, things like that. But we all have lawn at home, and we've got kids and pets, and we want to have that area to play or what have you. So if you're going to have a lawn, you're going to have to fertilize it. Otherwise, you are going to have a thin lawn with a lot of weed problems. So I like a couple of products. If you want to go organic, Espoma makes a really good lawn care program. We sell it here. We have for years. It's totally kid and pet safe, 100% organic. It's great. There's 4 steps to it. First one you're going to be putting down right around now, usually early April. Second one you're going to be putting down in mid to late May. Third one you'd be putting down in like July, August, and then you'll put down the fall winterizer, usually in September or early October. And you can always throw, there's one called All Seasons, which you can throw if you really want a green, healthy lawn, you can throw that step in there in like June or July. So that's great if you want to go organic. Otherwise, you can always do Greenview, their Fairway formula. We carry that here. That's a really great 2-step program. So you put it down in the spring. It's got some fast release nitrogen in it that's going to green things up very quickly. It's also got a lot of slow release nitrogen in it, so it's going to feed it slowly over the course of the spring and early summer. And then you put down the fall application, which will feed it in the fall, going into winter, and then also some of that will be available for springtime. So it's just a 2-step process, which is nice. I like that a lot better than some of the other big named 4-step programs that you see at the hardware